Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? I forgot my iPad at my house, so I have another way of seeing things here and seeing comments. Let me just make sure that I actually put comments and reactions here, and I can see you if you join and if you make any comments. Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome. If you're new to the group, we have many new people. If you're new to QualiQ for Qualitative Minds, I want you to know that you're more than welcome to ask questions, to join us live or watch this later and ask any questions. We'll probably be making a post with names and tagging people who are new and asking you to introduce yourself. And that's an effort for us to really engage and learn from you and also foster the community that we want to see building and growing and happening here. So today we are going to talk about concurrent data analysis, but with a different point of view from the ones that I have explored in the past. And the main reason why we are talking about concurrent data analysis from the perspective of data management versus data validity, we'll go there. I'm not going to get you confused. Let me just explain where this is coming from. In December, you might have received an email from me, and if you are on our email list, you will know this, that I just had a subject line that said the best gift you can give us. And it was asking a question about what you would like to see here in terms of content in 2021. And I got a few responses talking about data management and how people find it hard to organize the data. Like there is just so much in terms of volume and how to manage, sort, file, and then incorporate that into your data analysis and into your findings when the time comes to do that. And it was for that reason that the post was kind of conceptualized. I had it planned to be about concurrent data analysis, more from the perspective of data validity, but it ended up changing so I could actually talk about data management with you. So if you're asking yourself, what is concurrent data analysis? Well, as the name says it, when you're analyzing and collecting data concurrently, you're striving to do it at the same time. So you are, let's say, conducting focus groups or you're conducting interviews for a certain project, for a study, and you're not in that data analysis phase without analyzing your data. You're really trying to do it as you are collecting the data. So you're really trying to analyze the data that you have so far as you collect more data. So that's what concurrent data analysis means. And I often talk about it from the perspective of data validity. I do think it is very important for researchers in qualitative research to look at the data, to analyze the data while they are still going through the research. It is how you pick up on what you might be missing in terms of questions that you need to ask. You might realize that you need to make pivots and explore areas that you weren't exploring. Or you might simply realize that, yes, I am on the right track and I might be reaching saturation before I realized I would. So for so many reasons, that collection and analysis at the same time is really important. And I do find, and I was one of those people, don't think I wasn't one of them. For my master's, I was one of those people who said, I collected all my data, I am done with data collection, and I am now ready for data analysis. Not ideal, and not what I would like you to do or teach your trainees, your mentees. You do need to make an effort to encourage them, to keep them accountable in analyzing data as they are still collecting data. So I do think it's important from the perspective of data validity. Absolutely, yes. But the other thing that I want to talk about, and the main thing that I want to talk about here today, is how concurrent data analysis also becomes or can become a strategy for you to organize your data in a more proactively manner. So, in simple terms, there is no secret here because you're striving to do things as you are still in the trenches collecting data. So when I say do things, because you're striving to start your data analysis as you're still collecting your data, you will be dealing with the files, the audio files, the transcripts sooner. And because you're doing that, you can implement a system earlier on for how you're going to organize your qualitative data. And when I say organize your qualitative data, it goes to things as simple as deciding how you're going to name your files, where you're going to store them, and how that storage will be in a way that makes sense to you or your team. So for me in particular, I'm glad it's happening now for me because I am leaving, I would say, the step by step that I'm telling you, and also understanding how sometimes it's super easy to let things fall through the cracks. So I am currently conducting a project that I am actually conducting. It's the only project I have where I am responsible for data collection and data analysis and everything between design until the writing. And for this project, we started data collection on December 28th and 29th. So what I want you to realize here is how simple it is to start on the right path with data management and organization if you plan to organize things as soon as they happen or as close as possible to when they happen. So for me, the first few interviews, because their time is super important, we talk to women at a certain week postpartum. I had to do it during the Christmas break. So December 28th and 29th were the 2 days that I had the first 2 interviews. And as much as it is sometimes inconvenient, and in that sense it was inconvenient because I was on a break, to build time to organize the data right away, I strongly feel it makes a difference. And when I say that, it does mean accounting or allocating 1 hour for you to get your recorders. So in that case, I had 2 audio recorders, checking my recordings, deciding which one I was going to keep, transferring the files to the right place in the computer, protecting those files appropriately. And there was also another step that I think it should happen as soon as possible, which is related to how you're going to get your transcription done. For the first time, I actually tried for me with an interview with someone who was a native English speaker. I tried to use otter.ai, and I'm actually happy to report that things are improving with my accent and some of these automated AI facilitated transcription services. So I did that. So I did that conversion right away, and I had what I needed to get started with that analysis right there within the hour after the interviews ended. Life happens though. I'm not saying that that will be possible for you every time you conduct a focus group or you conduct an interview, but I am encouraging you to set aside, to schedule time in your schedule, in your weekly schedule, to organize your data and do those few things that will make an immense difference later on. We think we'll remember things, but the reality is if you don't name things properly, if you don't signal to yourself what that is related to, what that picture was about, why you took a picture, or why you took a picture of something that was on the wall at the place where you're doing your research, or why you made a note about the setting. If you don't make an effort to write and get those things organized outside of your head, it's likely you will get lost somewhere along the way. You will lose things along the way. It's the nature of our business, like everything we are doing all the time and all the decisions we need to make. There is only so much I think we can retain, and it's actually an act of service, and give yourself some grace for actually knowing you will forget, because you likely will. And the other aspect that I also am making sure in this project, and this is new for me, I haven't done this in the past. I feel like it's almost the first time that I am doing it right, in a sense that I am doing what I preach here, so I can tell you how it's gonna go and how it's going to work. I'm also giving myself 10 minutes after each interview to write on the interview log. So I have a 3-part log, and I encourage a 3-part log where you can write about things you heard, what participants said, how you interpreted them, and what you think they might have been thinking or might have missed or not realized as they were speaking to you. So I am trying to give myself at least 10 minutes to write those notes as soon as the interview ends. And that's also an effort to write more, to journal more, to take more notes, and something that doesn't come naturally to me because I don't take notes during the interview. I usually try to look at the person, pay attention, and not necessarily write. So those strategies that I discussed with you with a log, you can actually see, as like I had a print screen of part of it. It's on the blog, and you can see how I am doing that, and also the organization of the data. Those are things that I believe that are going to help me with keeping the data that I'm collecting for this project organized. And I wanted to share this with you because I know it's something many of you indicated that you feel it is a challenge that makes you feel overwhelmed when you're conducting a qualitative research project. Last but not least, if you're working in teams, or if you are the one who is leading the project, if you are the PI, or you are a research coordinator and organizing these things, it might be worthwhile taking 1 hour to write down the process, to write down the steps that I just mentioned, or the steps that you are going to follow. And it's interesting because in business, like as a business owner, I often find that sometimes I waste time because I don't stop to write down the system that I have. And then when I need to do something again, I need to figure out how I did it in the past, and I end up spending more time than I could have if I had made a spreadsheet or created a Google Doc outlining the steps to something. So know that, yes, it might feel at first like you're wasting time or you don't have time to just stop and do that. But if you're able to do it, especially if you have many people working on the project, you're probably saving yourself some problems, headaches, and time over the course of the project. And it's the type of thing that it's an investment. Now, I mentioned to you that I did conduct the interviews on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of December. I now have the transcripts. They are verified. And I had to schedule time for this week for me to go through and read them and do the preliminary coding. We are doing constant comparison for that particular project. So of course I'm not going to be able to do extensive work or go delve deep into the data with the initial set of interviews. There are many more to come. However, I do feel it's important for me to go to that first within the same interview level of coding, even under constant comparison. And would it happen naturally if I hadn't scheduled time to do that this week? No, I'm being totally upfront. No, have other things going on, have other priorities also popping up and happening here and there, would be absolutely easy to let go of that goal of doing concurrent data analysis. But it's important, it's a priority, so it got scheduled, and I am not running away from that this week because I do think it's important. So make sure that your management, your data management, your data organization, your goal of looking at the data as you collect it, that those things are in your calendar, are scheduled, are prioritized in order for them to indeed happen as you want them to happen. So have a wonderful rest of your week. I am actually around and I can answer any questions if any of you have. And if you want to post the questions, I will be taking a look. I have actually the comments on my phone here underneath the camera. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments about anything, feel free to type. I'll give it a minute and see if anything comes up. But if not, feel free to ask those questions later. As I have told you many times before, this is also how I get content ideas for the blog and how I try to build from what we are talking and discussing here and addressing in more detail, or certain areas in more detail there and here later on. So I look forward to hearing from you, to knowing what you think about it. And if you try anything that I mentioned, please let me know. Write us a note, a direct message, an email, and I would love to hear how something might be like, that doesn't work for me, and why that is, because the more we can learn from other people, I think the easier it is for us to actually choose strategies that might be more likely to work for us. So have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. I don't see any comments so far, but I will be checking and I can definitely answer them later. Hi, Amy. What? Okay, so Amy was asking here, what if you are scheduling people and don't know how long each interview will take? You may run out of time for the 10 minutes after each interview. Yes, so you're scheduling interviews, and when I say right after, ideally right after, but let's say it happened that you did an interview even after work hours, like in the evening, and you're done. What I would recommend is trying to set aside 10 minutes as early as possible the next day, or as soon as you sit down to organize that file. Like as soon as you sit down to transfer from your audio recorder to the computer, make sure that you sit down and do it. Like the fresher things are on your mind, the more likely you will be to be able to actually recall things. And I said I don't take notes during interviews, and I really don't, but sometimes I am able to write words. And especially if I know that I'm not going to be touching anything right away, or if I have more than one interview at once, I might just take note of like words that will trigger my memory about things that I want to write in relation to that interview. So if you know you have many interviews, or you were not going to have the time to sit and write right away, you could potentially just write some words to trigger your memory so you can write more details later on. But for sure, not sit on that for more than a week. Like if you do not write those notes within the next day, I would say within the week for sure, I think you lose a lot, because a lot of that initial gut feeling that we talked so much when we were with Casey within our program. Amy is one of the QRB members for the past fall. I think a lot of those gut feelings, that instinct and how we felt in the moment, gets lost if it's not recorded as soon as possible. So I would definitely record as soon as possible so you don't lose that piece from the embodiment of how things you heard, said, and felt for you. I think it's a beneficial process, not only for your research because you're capturing that, but for yourself in understanding how your research is affecting you and how you might be affecting your results as a result of that effect and that embodiment that is happening. So have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.